What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. Today's going to be part two of our MLB playoff prediction series. And as you can see, we're going to be having a second person helping us today. And it's going to be Patrick, of course. So I have Patrick here on the phone. How you doing today, Patrick?
Hey, what's going on? We got a beautiful day out here, and
Yeah, the sun's showing. The sun's showing. It's a little chilly, but it is September, late September at this point. But as you can see, we'll be doing part two here of the MLB playoff predictions, and it's going to be fun. You guys seem to really love part one, so definitely want to do part two here, and then we will be doing a part three once the playoff seeds are officially set. So these are, of course, as of today, September 21st. So this is before the games on Monday, September 21st, have been played. But these are how the seedings, the seeds would be if the playoffs started at this moment in time. If you haven't already, we did do our MLB breakdown for the weekly recap, and I did discuss the teams that have officially clinched their spots in the playoffs, like Tampa Bay, New York Yankees, LA Dodgers, of course. But we're not going to really stress that today. So, without further ado, I'll give a quick little recap here of what's going to happen for the playoffs. So, in the first round here, the wild card round, of course, and we're going to use the AL as our example. You'll see Tampa Bay and Toronto play. And the first round here, the wild card round, will be a best of three series played in the top seeds location. So, again, using Tampa Bay and Toronto, that would be a best of three series played in Tampa Bay. Now, with the second round here, the AL, again, using the ALDS, AL Divisional Series, you're going to have whoever the top seed that advances is play whoever the lowest seed that advances is. And those games will be played in either San Diego or Los Angeles, Dodgers home stadium. And that would be a best of five series. And then in the ALCS, AL Championship Series, it would be a best of seven series played in San Diego. And then, of course, the World Series is going to be a best of seven played in Arlington, Texas, home of the Texas Rangers. Now, the NL, again, same thing with the wild card round. The NLDS will be played in Houston and Arlington, Texas. And then the NLCS will be played in Arlington, Texas. And of course, like I said, the World Series will be played in Arlington, Texas. So that does give the NL a slight advantage just because, they've already played a best of seven series going in, at least one best of seven series going into the World Series. But maybe the Texas Rangers will catch fire? Maybe? Probably not. But without further ado, we'll jump right in here. We're going to start with the American League. And we're going to start with the top seed Tampa Bay Rays playing the Toronto Blue Jays. And I'll give my predictions real quick today. You guys already saw a lot of my predictions. A lot of these series are pretty similar to what they were last week. And I'll let Patrick go right after. But I'll start off here with Tampa Bay and Toronto. And this will be a good series, I believe. Tampa Bay has been looking pretty good, but Toronto has been doing pretty well as well. They just dropped a 3-4 series to Philadelphia, but it's going to be a close series. Tampa Bay is still doing better. Tampa Bay is the hotter team, so I have Tampa Bay advancing. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to write, at least for the first couple rounds, I'm just going to do a little mark here of the seed that I have advancing, just so it's a little cleaner than me trying to cram abbreviations there. But now I'll let Patrick do his decision. So who do you have winning the Tampa Bay-Toronto series?
yo, man. To be honest, I have the Blue Jays winning this series. I mean, I agree. Definitely, the Tampa Bay Rays for sure have been playing better within the past few weeks. But obviously, who is that one player that we all know that the Blue Jays have, and that would be Burrow Jr. So I think with Vladimir and all these other decent offensive men, they can pull it off, definitely. And obviously, like you said, the first series, which is kind of crazy, is out of three games. So I predict this one would go to a third game. They would each get one apiece, even though this one would be being played in Toronto. That was correct.
Tampa.
Tampa, okay. This one, okay, so yeah, I definitely think this would go to definitely goes to a three all the way to the third game, and I think the Jays have a chance to pull it off. Because one of the reasons, not only because it would be a three-game series, because it's a five-game I think the Rays would definitely have a better chance. But I definitely would have to say the Blue Jays would sneak by this one, the number 8 seed Blue Jays. So yeah, that's my prediction there.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. So now we have the 2 seed Chicago White Sox playing the 7 seed Cleveland MLB team. So for this one, it's going to be a very good matchup. I do think Cleveland will take game 1 of this matchup, but since it's played on 3 consecutive days, they can't exactly throw Shane Bieber out for game 3 with just a 1-day rest period. So I think Chicago's going to beat up whoever Cleveland puts out there. Chicago should win this series because Chicago's been looking pretty good. Yeah, Cleveland's been performing decently, but again, their best player by far, Shane Bieber, and he's a pitcher, so you can only use him 1 day. I think they're going to take that series. Chicago over Cleveland in 3. Curious to see what Patrick says.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really disagree with that one. Like you said, Chicago has been putting a surge on the last couple weeks, and kind of marking your words here with this one because, like we know in that previous video, I kind of did say that I thought Chicago White Sox was kind of a crappy team. Not necessarily this season, but overall. But kind of giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm hoping that you're right going with this. Towards facing the Indians, but I don't think they will get far in this playoff, and you'll find out later when we get into these predictions. But definitely, I would say the White Sox. Like you said with Shane Bieber on the other side, yeah, the best player is practically a pitcher. That's probably not going to do anything because, yeah, you might be doing good pitching, but you got to be doing good hitting too, and that's hand in hand that need to go together to be a successful team. So definitely, I picked the White Sox over the Indians in this series.
Yeah, Shane Bieber is definitely a Cy Young contender and Cy Young favorite, and there are whispers of him being a AL MVP favorite, but the other AL MVP candidate is Jose Abreu, and Abreu is obviously playing for Chicago, so that makes it a very interesting series. Next, we have the 3 seed Oakland Athletics playing the 6 seed Houston Astros, and of course, I don't really want to go into too much detail on this one. Houston's not doing that hot. Oakland's doing okay, but they are kind of slowing down. Oakland should win this series pretty simply, in my viewpoint. I mean, Oakland's been dealing with some injuries lately, but I think they'll rebound. They're good. There's definite talent there, and they have the playoff experience of the past couple of years, losing in the first round or second round. So they wanna prove themselves, and they don't have a scandal looming over their heads. How about you, Patrick?
Oh man, dude, I got fully upset again, man. I think that the Astros can definitely pull this off. I mean, obviously, the Astros have playoff experience in years past. Yes, of course, all MLB fans that aren't Astros fans are upset with them, and I think the Astros want to keep making all the fans upset and keep playing good. They still have decent, solid players that are on the roster. People like George Springer, like even last night, hit a 2-run home run. These just keep firing, and I think, yeah, this might go to a 3-game series or to the 3rd game, but I think they can easily just pull it off. And the Athletics will be a team that tests them because of how good they've been late in the season here. But I think the Astros will definitely pull it off and make MLB fans upset and go forward to the next series here.
I think you're going to cause a riot in Boston, New York, and LA right now by those comments saying you think Houston's going to win. I understand where you're coming from, though. Houston's definitely not a bad team, and they can definitely pull off the victory. Next, we have the 4 seed Minnesota Twins playing the 5 seed New York Yankees. Yankees still underseeded. Obviously, just had a 10-game winning streak before they lost last night to Boston. Minnesota's been doing about 500, maybe a little better. No-brainer in my opinion here. Yankees are built to win. Yankees can win this series. And again, injuries are a big concern, but Yankees have been getting some players back. What's your opinion on this one?
Yep. pretty much the same exact thing. I think this might be one of the Yankees' top years within the next couple seasons here to get another World Series win. I could say I thought it was last year, but things didn't work out. But playing a team like the Twins, I think obviously they've had advantages of them in the past, not only in regular season games, but so. And obviously they got star players on their team. I mean, if you look at the Twins rosters, yeah, they got a few guys that might be decent, but they don't have any clear guys that stick out and could easily put the game in on a limb and have a better chance at beating the Yankees. I think this one might be a sweep by the Yankees here, just 2 games to they're done. So this would be probably out of all the American League games or series that we're looking at here, I think the Yankees here would definitely have the easiest one here to pull through past the Minnesota Twins for sure.
Historically speaking, in the past decade and a half, New York always clobbers Minnesota when they meet in the playoffs. So I'm going to quickly discuss this here real quick. So how the playoffs are, Patrick, with how his playoffs are, he's going to have the 8 seed Toronto playing the 2 seed Chicago, and then the 6 seed Houston playing the 5 seed New York. And again, these will be at neutral sites from here on out, where I'm going to have the 1 seed Tampa Bay Rays playing the 5 seed New York Yankees, and the 3 seed Oakland Athletics playing the 2 seed Chicago White Sox. So this is where it gets a little bit more messy, but yeah, basically it's going to be weird, kind of complicated to do it on this platform here, but I will do a small little bracket inside here for myself because I'm the one that has the odd itchy. Patrick's stuff is pretty simple. So I'll leave it up to Patrick here. Do you want to go finish up the AL first, or do you want to jump to the NL? Discuss the first round.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Do you want to finish up the AL first or go NL?
Yeah. I'll start with mine first. So basically, as you just said, so I got the 8th seed Toronto Blue Jays playing the 2nd seed Chicago White Sox, and yeah, this is a series you're kind of gonna look at and be like, what the heck happened here? I mean, yeah, my predictions might be a little out there compared to others, according to fast checkers and stuff, but if this was a series hypothetically, I definitely think that I think the Jays could pull it off against the White Sox. I don't think the White Sox have really enough playoff experience in the past to put them forth. I mean, you could also say the thing partially about the Blue Jays, but I still think people like Vladimir Guerrero will come up big in the late innings, the 8th or 9th innings, and definitely put that last couple points in to put them forward. So this was kind of a quick guess for me, which was the Toronto Blue Jays exceeding there. And then up to the others, I had the Houston Astros 3rd seed plays the New York Yankees, and this one I predicted going all the way through pretty much. This is a 5-game series, so all the way to the last game, and I predict the Yankees will definitely punch their ticket as well. Like I said, I think the Yankees have a strong offense for sure in terms of batting. Their pitching is decent, and yes, they'll match up pretty good with the Astros, but the Yankees have more power hitters in my opinion, so they will definitely end up taking the victory. And pretty much I have the New York Yankees playing the Toronto Blue Jays in that AL championship series.
Interesting. You got a battle of AL East teams, which is always fun for the playoffs. Usually it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. And recently we have seen even the Blue Jays play the Orioles in the playoffs. But this time you have the Blue Jays playing the Yankees. I think if people say battle of AL East in the playoffs, I think in Tampa, New York. But it's going to be something. So speaking of battle of AL East in the playoffs, I have Tampa as the 1 seed and the 5 seed New York Yankees. And last week I predicted that the Rays will take this series over the Yankees. This week, I'm going to change my opinion here. Yankees have proved me wrong this week. They looked very good. So I do have the Yankees advancing over the Rays. Yankees hitting's finally getting healthy. Obviously, Judge just returned to the lineup. And the team's finally looking good. If they can stay healthy, they definitely have the talent to win the American League, but that's a big if, and it depends on who you go up against. And then of course next I have the 2 seed Chicago playing the 3 seed Oakland, and this is where Chicago's pitching kind of scares me. But the positive for Chicago in this hypothetical matchup against Oakland is Oakland has been dealing with injuries on their offense. Obviously, they've needed to acquire players like Tommy La Stella, who they probably didn't want to have to acquire and put in their lineup on a daily basis. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I think Chicago, yes, they have a no hitter this season in their pitching rotation with Lucas Giolito. And I think that they can definitely do it. I think if this was a regular season here, even with the expanded playoffs, and it was 162 regular season games, I think Chicago would be tired out at this point. I think Oakland could advance over them. But I think Chicago's youth and hype and everything, with an AL, MVP candidate in Abreu, a potential Cy Young sleeper in Giolito, who would really need to have a great last week, and Bieber would have to struggle for Bieber to lose the stranglehold he has. I think Chicago can definitely take this series. I do think it will be a 4-game series. Chicago is ready to play. This, I think, is the year of the Chicago White Sox. If you saw my last video, you know that's my opinion. So, to wrap it up, here I have the 5-seed New York Yankees playing the 2-seed Chicago White Sox in the AL Championship, while Patrick has the 8-seed Toronto Blue Jays playing the 5-seed New York Yankees. I will let Patrick give his predictions first.
Well, as you know, like you just said, so the Yankees and the Blue Jays, and I think this is just going to be a throwback from 2 series ago with the Yankees, because I had the Yankees starting off beating the Minnesota Twins, and I think this whole matchup scenario is going to be a very similar thing to them playing the Blue Jays, and I think this could be either a potential sweep or or go all the way. Is this going to be a 5-game series or 7-game series?
7-game series.
Okay, that's what I thought. So this definitely think this won't go to 7 games. I definitely think the Yankees will definitely pull this one off way before that. Potential sweep, but I'm not going to say that because Jays getting all the way this far, they're not gonna go out without at least winning a game or two. So I'm going to say 5 or 6 games this will go to, and then the Yankees will punch their ticket back into the World Series like many people on the East Coast would hope they would have done last year and years prior. And that will be interesting to see who they go up against. My prediction on the NL side. So that's my prediction. The Yankees going past the Blue Jays and going to the World Series.
There's a lot of people who don't want to hear that one. A lot of people don't want to hear the Yankees make the World Series yet again. And New York versus Chicago, and for me at least, and as much as I like Chicago, I don't know. I mean, we've seen the Yankees, they're hot right now. Yeah, they've won 10 of their last 11 games. Obviously, you could have said a 10-game winning streak if this was recorded yesterday. And hot teams are who win playoffs, the playoff games. The best team doesn't always win. The best team rarely wins. We know this. And the best team, obviously, if you go by regular season, is Tampa Bay at this point. And we both have them losing by the second round. So let that be what it may. It's going to be something. And as much as I like, Chicago's youth, I'm not sure if they have the power to knock out the evil empire, if you will, in New York, the Bronx Bombers, if you will. And the thing is, I don't know if the Yankees, the big thing that I have to consider with this is health. And typically I can just assume, most players will be healthy. But when it's the Yankees, this team's constantly dealing with health problems, health scares. Obviously, Stanton, Judge, LeMahieu, everybody on that team, Tanaka, has been dealing with injuries at some point. And that's always a concern. And Chicago, on the other hand, hasn't had that problem as much. And I'm a believer in Chicago this year. And I think it'll be a close series. But I think Chicago will pull it out. And Chicago will make the World Series. for the first time since they won it in 2005. So good for them, in my opinion. So, of course, that means I have the White Sox winning the American League. Patrick has the Yankees winning the American League. Now we'll jump to the NL, and I will let Patrick start with the first game here, the first series, which will be LA versus Cincinnati. And, of course, this is back to a best of three.
All right, so as you know, Los Angeles versus the one and only Cincinnati Reds, 8th seed. Dodgers, in my opinion, at the moment are like the Yankees of the NL. I definitely think this would literally just easily be a two-game sweep. And, there's one person I could say definitely, and his name is Mookie Betts. I mean, this guy has been outstanding since he's been in Los Angeles this year. I mean, back-to-back homers. The last couple of days, this guy's come in clutch in games. I mean, the GM and the manager and everything, everybody are so pleased with his performance. And I think, they're just going to completely embarrass the Cincinnati Reds. Like, I don't even know why the Reds are kind of fit at the moment. Kind of scary for me. But at the same time, they're better than other teams like the Pirates. Not shouting out Pittsburgh or anything, but so I definitely would say Dodgers with Mookie Betts are just gonna blow them out 2-0, and advance that one there. We can go through that.
At the start of the season, before the season started, I had pegged, and I know a lot of people agreed, I pegged the Reds as a World Series dark horse. And the pitching's there. Trevor Bauer's been doing very good. Sonny Gray's been doing very good. They're both NL Cy Young candidates at this point in time. But does that mean they're going to win against the powerhouse LA Dodgers? Sorry, guys. You guys flatlined way too early. You struggled out of the gate. If you would have done good, I think if they would have won that opening series against Detroit, we'd be talking about the Cincinnati as a 5 seed or a 6 seed right now. But I think losing, 2 of 3 or 3 of 4 to Detroit really put a damper on the beginning of the season for Cincy. LA should win this series. I don't know if it's going to be a sweep, but it more likely than not will be, especially since it's a best of 3 in LA. So it's going to be a very close. I don't think it's going to be an embarrassing series loss for the Reds, but I definitely don't think they have enough power to win against the Dodgers. You mentioned Mookie, and I'm just saying, if Bellinger can turn it on for the playoffs, no doubt LA is going to make a deep run. Now we have the 2-seed Cubbies playing the 7-seed Phillies. Who do you have winning this series?
I definitely would have to go with the Phillies here. I think the Phillies will get the edge in Game 3. Like you said, obviously they got players, as we all know, Bryce Harper, who in clutch moments most of the time comes up. They got decent pitching. The Cubs do also have decent pitching. And I think that the Cubs obviously have more playoff experience in recent years, but I don't think that's going to give them enough confidence going forward here. They won that World Series back in 2016. But since then, they've kind of gone downhill. Obviously, they've lost a decent amount of players. And with the Phillies players to have, there's core players among them that I believe can pull it off in the third game. And I could see that as being like the first 2 games are really close, one apiece, and the third game could be a dominated one by the Phillies and an answering one. And obviously this one, yes, would be played in Chicago, but that's not going to, I don't think they'll face the Phillies at all. They'll still be as good as they are when they play at Citizens Bank Park.
It's interesting that you have the Phillies winning. I don't know if you're aware, but Bryce Harper did get hurt in last night's game against the Blue Jays. And when asked about the injury, he did say, quote, "we'll see," end quote, which of course is never a good comment to make a week before the playoffs begin. What's interesting is, obviously I'm a Phillies fan, and they just announced their World Series, their playoff pool, if you will, 40-man roster, if you will, for players that they would have on the bench in the potential playoff run. And they had catcher Jonathan Lucroy. And that one really surprised me. I did not know that Lucroy had joined Philadelphia. I'm very happy about that one. He brings a lot of veteran experience to that roster. But it's going to be a close series. But you're mentioning a pivotal game 3. And I agree with you. I do think the series will go to 3. And with the way that the Phillies' third pitcher, Zach Eflin, has been pitching, he's been hot and cold, hot and cold. And if you go by that, Eflin was red hot this past week, which means he'll be cold this week, the week September 21st to 27th, which means in potential playoff time, he'll be hot again. So maybe the Phillies can pull the upset off over Chicago. And, of course, Chicago has Alec Mills, who just threw a no-no. It's going to be a pretty interesting series. I got to agree with you. I do think the Phillies will be able to pull this upset. Coming into this video, I was thinking Chicago's going to win. But I'm just hoping that Bryce can be healthy. And Wrigley Field doesn't necessarily scare Philadelphia. We've seen them go into Wrigley and have some amazing games. So now we have the 3-seeded Atlanta Braves playing the 6-seed St. Louis Cardinals. I think we all know who you have winning this series, but let's hear it anyway.
Well, of course, I'm hoping the Braves pull off the upset, unlike past years when they've been beat by the Cardinals. This is an interesting series. I mean, they have similar players. I mean, you're looking at, the Cardinals, Yadier Molina, Jack Flaherty, a pitcher who threw out 11 strikeouts last night against the Pirates. But, the Pirates suck, so is that even fair? So, but obviously, like you mentioned last week, the Braves don't have solid pitching. So, if anything, losing the series would be due to that cursing them. And this would definitely, obviously, kind of suck. But this is obviously a 3-game series. I could see it also going to the third game. Yes, I predicted the Braves would go through, and I just think I'm hoping they'll slip by. Pretty much my reasoning for them going through, and hopefully Freeman, Acuna, anybody, Ozuna, I hope will be the one that comes up big, because he has come up big in other series prior this year. So I have the Braves going through over the Cardinals. Hopefully, I guess, I don't know if that's really pulling an upset, because I'm sure the Cardinals would be favored. So I have the Braves winning that one and beating the Cardinals.
Interesting. I did trash Braves pitching recently, but they did just get Max Fried back from the injured list, and he looked good in his start. So that bodes very well for Atlanta. The question is, do you start him again, or do you wait for the playoffs to pitch him again? Of course, Atlanta's all but assured a spot in the playoffs at this point, and they're all but assured the first seed in the NL East. They would have to mightily collapse for Miami or Philadelphia to catch them. And I think Atlanta can definitely... I don't think this is going to be a close series, and I think Atlanta's just going to slaughter them. It's just... Atlanta's too good. St. Louis isn't good enough. St. Louis has a lot of question marks. And, of course, they had the COVID scare where they had players, like Paul DeYoung and Yadier Molina out for extended amounts of times due to having COVID. And they just lost Dakota Hudson for the season. So that's always a red flag, too. He was one of their better pitchers. Not great, but better. That definitely hurts them. I think Atlanta will take this series and possibly, or definitely a sweep. It's interesting, too. You didn't mention Austin Riley. Riley's been heating up as of late. Of course, it's Austin Riley. He's very, very streaky. We saw that last year when he debuted. He was red hot, and then he went ice cold. And this is a good time for Riley to heat up for Atlanta. Lastly, we have the 4-seed San Diego Padres versus the 5-seed Miami Marlins in the playoff matchup nobody saw coming. Who do you have winning this one?
Well, let's see. We're talking about the Padres. I know there's one name that you don't like, and that's Manny Machado.
I don't mind Machado. Never had a problem with Machado.
But so looking at the series, the Padres and Marlins, I definitely would say, honestly, I just went with luck here, and I said the Marlins.
Ooh.
Did I really think the Padres are going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year? No. By the way, I'm not a big fan of those jerseys they went back to. But
Ooh.
I really think the Marlins would have the edge here. Honestly, like you said, who would have thought this series would be played? I think this will be one of the lower scoring series in the first round. Um, but the Marlins would definitely find the edge over the Padres. If I'm correct, the Padres didn't make the playoffs last year, right?
No, no, they did not.
When was the last year? Do you know what the last year they made the playoffs was?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Okay,
It's been
that's
a
what I thought.
it's been a good time, long time.
But yeah, I mean, the Marlins got decent players, but yeah, I think they can. I think they'll pull it off. These are probably the two teams that kind of know the most about. But I definitely would say, from a statistical number, that I think the Marlins would be better and win this one.
As the season has gone on, I've been learning more and more about San Diego. And obviously, at the trade deadline, they were very, very active. San Diego made a ton of moves, and they acquired Austin Nola, a catcher I'm a big fan of. They gave up a lot of future assets, but they also have Tatis, who's arguably an NL MVP frontrunner. And of course, they have Machado, as you mentioned. They have a decent amount of players. Hosmer's doing decent, which is always good for San Diego. And of course, they have an ace now in Mike Clevenger, and Zach Davies has been looking very good. I'm a big fan of Zach Davies. I liked him in Milwaukee when they put him in San Diego. I said, wow, I like him even more. Picked him up in fantasy pretty late, and he's really blossomed into a good player this year. Of course, Petco Park does that for a lot of players. Speaking of Petco Park, that's where this series will be played, and that obviously is a big advantage for San Diego versus Miami because Miami's got to travel to the West Coast, which means if the game's played 7 p.m. Western time, that's similar to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and that's going to really hurt Miami. I don't think Miami has it in them to pull the upset here against San Diego. San Diego is a very talented young team. San Diego scares me for the next couple of years, but they do need to figure out their pitching problems because Chris Paddock is not an ace. So to recap here, both of us have one matchup as the 1 seed LA Dodgers playing the 7 seed Philadelphia Phillies. And then for the next matchup, we both have the 3 seed Atlanta Braves. Then we have our biggest disagreement in the NL, our only disagreement in the NL, with where I have the 4 seed Padres, he has the 5 seed Marlins. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So we're going to start here with the 1 seed Dodgers playing the 7 seed Phillies. Who do you have winning the series? Keep in mind it is now a best of 5 in a neutral site. We may be dealing with some technical difficulties here, so I'll give my quick summary here. So I have the LA Dodgers over the Phillies. I mean, Phillies, I love them, but I don't think they have the firepower to surpass the Dodgers. This is kind of reminiscent of what happened about a decade ago. The Phillies would take out the Dodgers. I think they did it in '08 and '09. And the Phillies were the better team, but the Dodgers were definitely a good team. These Dodgers teams are built better than those Phillies teams were, and this Phillies team is built worse than those Dodgers teams were. So I think it's going to possibly be a sweep. I don't think Bryce will allow a sweep to happen. I think the Dodgers will take this one, possibly in 5, maybe, or possibly in 4. It's going to be a good series, though. I just don't see the Phillies pulling the upset over the Dodgers. It's too close. It's the playoffs. This is the Dodgers' year. They're still very angry about what happened with the Astros and the Red Sox both cheating. See if Patrick's corrected the problem here. You with me?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Perfect.
So I just got to say the same exact thing pretty much. Just beating the Phillies. I mean, I guess it'll be a little bit of a battle for the Dodgers, but like I said, the anger of the upset of all these cheating things going on and the Dodgers not being successful in the playoffs all the way through have them definitely wanting and being hungry to get all the way to the World Series. So this will definitely be an easy, not easy, a win probably within 5 or 6 games. But I think the Phillies should still be proud of how far they've got. and that'll be something that they'll definitely be looking forward to in the following seasons to get further and further in the playoffs and work towards their next chance at a World Series.
Shout out to the Phillies for finally promoting 2016 first overall pick Mickey Moniak to the playoffs or to the majors. He did okay. Also, shout out to Rafael Marchand, who hit his first home run in the Americas, or in the United States, I should say. It took him 850 plate appearances to get his first homer in the United States under a professional contract. So shout out to him. He did it in the majors. That's pretty impressive. Defensive-minded player. Also want to point out JT Realmuto is a free agent this upcoming offseason. So we'll see what happens with him if he stays in Philadelphia, if the Phillies have a shot. If he leaves Philadelphia, who knows what's going to happen with the Phillies. They're not in a good position. Then we have 3-seed Atlanta playing, for me, the 4-seed San Diego. For Patrick, the 5-seed Miami. Patrick, you want to start us off here? Who do you have winning Atlanta versus Miami?
Oh, man. How about we start with that game that was a Braves victory, 29-9 on September 9th, 2020. I mean, that's a victory right there. That obviously the Braves knew they had control of that game, and I think that will influence this series here that we have between the Braves and Marlins. And I think the Braves have a chance at not necessarily dominating the series, but having control. So this series definitely going forward would favor the Braves. People on the Braves that will come in clutch. Yes, there might be one game where the Braves might blow a bad shutout or not shutout, blow a bad lead due to their inconsistency with pitching. People like you said with Austin Riley, yeah, he's definitely very, very what's the word? He's very streaky. He's not a reliable person to hit. He'll have some days he'll go up and he'll hit a home run. Next day he'll go out and he'll get 3 strikeouts. So, and in terms of the Marlins, yeah, they of course have better. I'd say they definitely have better pitching, but is their offense going to hold up with the Braves' offense in terms of getting grounders, simple grounders, or getting doubles just to extend runners on the bases and prove themselves worthy to get past the Braves? So, I think the Braves would win this series and move on. And then, according to my bracket, I would have them playing the Dodgers in the NL Championship Series. Curious to see what your thoughts are in your series.
All I'm going to say is the Marlins won the other 2 or 3 games in that series against the Braves, so don't get overconfident about the Braves. But I'm here to talk about San Diego versus Atlanta, and this will be a very, very, very good matchup. I'm really torn on this one. I do like San Diego, and Atlanta is definitely good. It's going to come down to, can Acuna show up for the series, or is he still being bothered by that back issue that we've seen flare up here and there? So Acuna needs to stay healthy and produce. If Austin Riley's as hot as he's been, and if Markakis can take the role that he showed, and if we can have other players show up for the Braves, if Fried can play well, it's going to be a very close series. What really helps Atlanta is Fried's coming back, but I do love San Diego's pitching more than I like Atlanta's pitching, not even close. And I think Tatis has enough in him to take San Diego to a Game 5. This will be one very close Game 5 between Atlanta and San Diego. And what it is I think Davies is better than whoever the heck Atlanta can throw out Game 5. I don't know who your number 2 pitcher is this year. I think if you still had Soroka, Atlanta would win this series. But since Soroka's obviously done for the year with the Achilles injury, which he suffered like week 1 or 2, I do think San Diego will pull the upset here, at least seeding-wise, over Atlanta. Plus, San Diego's been playing in the better West versus the East. I mean, they want to take on the Dodgers. They're ready to do it. So, San Diego in 5, which of course for me has San Diego taking the LA Dodgers on in the NLCS. And we'll have Patrick start off his NLCS predictions, which is of course the Braves taking on the Dodgers.
So this is an interesting series. I kind of definitely have to give the favor here to the Dodgers. getting this deep in the playoffs and having a chance at winning the series and going to the World Series will be exactly what the Dodgers want. And looking at these two teams, like I said earlier in the earlier series, Mookie Betts of the Dodgers is complete on a roll right now, and he's going to continue to be on a roll, if not get better in the playoffs. If you compare him to a player on the Braves, for example, whether it's Acuna or Albies, yeah, they might be just as good as Mookie Betts in a few games, but I don't think they're going to be as consistent as them in terms of whether it's getting home runs or getting doubles. Like I said, just to move up runners. I think Mookie Betts in a pressured situation is definitely a better player at the plate. So I definitely have to say the Dodgers would take this one over the Braves. Obviously, this is a 7-game series, so this will probably be done for the Braves probably in about 6 games, if I had to guess. So that would bring the Dodgers going through here to play, in my bracket, the New York Yankees in the World Series.
That World Series matchup would really upset 90% of baseball fans because no one wants the Dodgers in the World Series again. No one wants the Yankees in the World Series again. Nobody likes either of those fan bases unless you're a fan of those fan bases. They're both very much hated, and I'm just cringing at the thought of that. And, of course, I have San Diego playing LA, and I've been hyping San Diego up. I love San Diego, but I don't know if they can take out LA. LA's been doing pretty good right now. Obviously, Mookie Betts has been red hot, and sometimes all you need is one player to win you a World Series, win you a series in playoffs, and win you the World Series. And Mookie Betts does have playoff experience. Obviously, 2018, he was a big part of the Red Sox World Series victory over the aforementioned Dodgers, albeit controversially. But, yeah, as much as I love Zach Davies, he can't match up against what the Dodgers are throwing out there. And, I'm a fan of Paddock. He can't match up what the Dodgers are throwing out there. Clevenger, he can't match up what the Dodgers are putting out there. This will be a good series, but I do think that the Dodgers will have minimal problems here taking out their division rivals who are probably 1 or 2 more years away from a serious World Series contender, which of course pits my matchup as the LA Dodgers versus the Chicago White Sox. So now we're in this World Series, and remember at this point the World Series is played in Arlington, Texas, home of the Texas Rangers. So I'm curious to see who Patrick has winning between the hated LA Dodgers and the hated New York Yankees.
Well, just like you said, nobody would really like who won this World Series, no matter what. If I had to guess and take a prediction here, who would win this one? Honestly, I think I would have to give it to the Yankees. I think Aaron Judge is a lot better in a playoff scenario than Mookie Betts. I mean, you could say, oh, yeah, years past, what about the 2018 World Series with the Red Sox? I mean, yeah, you do got a point, but there's other people that can back up Aaron Judge besides himself. When Mookie Betts was on the Red Sox, there wasn't much support on. Yeah, when he's on the Dodgers now, he's kind of the stick-out sore thumb for the other players. If Mookie Betts hadn't joined the Dodgers, they might still be close to where they are now, but he's the one that's really helping him out there and lifting the team. Just like you look at other sports teams, LeBron James lifting the Lakers. It's the same scenario, in my opinion. Some might argue that, but that's what I think. So I think the Yankees having more offensive core at the plate would definitely pull this one off. It might go to 6 or 7 games, but I think the Yankees pull away the win. And that would definitely upset the Dodgers if the Yankees pull off this win, getting as far as they got in the last couple seasons, and losing this World Series. So that would be the Yankees, the 2020 World Series champions in my bracket. But I'm definitely curious to see about your predictions with your Dodgers playing the White Sox in the World Series.
So you're having the Yankees win their 28th World Series. That's oh, the Dodgers would definitely not be happy with that one. Um, I'm just surprised that you said Betts is the guy carrying this team. Yeah, he's good, but you're telling me Betts is like that much better than Bellinger's been having a down season. I'll give you that one, but you're telling me Betts is a bigger piece than Clayton Kershaw. That's just crazy to me. Um, I'm talking about Kershaw since I do have the Dodgers here in the World Series. Kershaw wants a ring more than anything. Obviously, he's near the end of his prime at this point, and that's always something. He's arguably the best pitcher of the 20s, 2010s. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody's really going to question it if he makes it first ballot. And one thing that'll really secure his legacy as the best pitcher of all time, one of the best pitchers of all times, I should say, is going to be that World Series ring that he's been waiting for. I think this is a year he finally turns it on. He finally clicks for the playoffs. And obviously he missed the start of the season with back problems. And he's been looking pretty good since. Obviously they need Walker Buehler to come back. And that's why it's good for them that they're playing Cincinnati in the first round. That's a series that Walker Buehler can come in and play pretty well and give him a shorter leash, but say, all right, listen, we're just going to get you back into form. And even if you throw him out of the bullpen to start off, the Dodgers pitching staff is still pretty good. The Dodgers hitting staff, hitting lineup, whatever you want to call it, is very good. And I'm just talking about the Dodgers. Let me talk about the White Sox. White Sox, I love you guys. You got Jose Abreu, obviously. I keep mentioning him, AL MVP candidate. But other than Abreu, who else is really there in Chicago that can seriously match up with the Dodgers? Eloy Jimenez, maybe, but not yet. Luis Robert, same thing, not yet, though. He's not there yet. Nick Madrigal, love him, but not there yet. So Dodgers should take home this series. Again, mostly because I think Kershaw he knows that this is his series. He needs this series to prove his legacy as the best pitcher of the 2010s. And yes, it is 2020 now. I'm aware of that, but he needs to win this series. I think Kershaw can rally up the troops enough to win this series. So, again, to recap, Patrick has the New York Yankees winning the World Series. I have the LA Dodgers winning the World Series. It's going to be a very interesting playoff structure this year. But again, these are our brackets. And again, I'm in blue. Patrick is in this magenta color. If you have any questions, definitely make sure to leave them in the comments. If you have any comments, definitely make sure to leave them in the comments. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe. But of course, as always, Patrick, thank you for joining me for this video. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. It's always fun to talk baseball with you. Again, these are the playoff standings as of the end of September 20th. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. We respond to everything. And have a good one.